Hello, all. Scott McMeans with Action Coach SBL. I'm here today on the Legacy Leader Show with Taylor Morris from TaylorMade Trucking. Interesting story. Backstory is pretty cool. I want everyone to get a chance to learn a little bit about Taylor, what she does, how well she does it, and just what's so unique about trucking, right? Before we get into those details, I want to let Taylor talk about herself just a little bit. So, Taylor, the microphone and camera are yours. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Okay, so my name is Taylor. I'm a wife, a mom, and an entrepreneur. I started TaylorMade about 3 years ago. But TaylorMade was born based on a childhood dream. As maybe from around the age of 8 to 13, I always aspired to be an entrepreneur. Didn't know what an entrepreneur really was, the even the phrase of an entrepreneur. But when I was a kid, I used to sell cupcakes in school, as well as have a mobile pedicure business. And then I used to place drawings on like clothes, like jeans. I would put Mickey Mouse cartoon characters, and sell it for money. So, my dad was an entrepreneur, which really inspired me because he was a carpenter by trade, and my dad was the type of person like he learned as much as he could of like um formulating a house. So that kept him busy, and he didn't really have to work hard to find clients in that time of working. So I was around him. I was around a lady that owned a daycare center. I was around a lot of entrepreneurs, but didn't
Mhm.
really like couldn't put it into words until I actually started my own business and was like, okay, I was designed to be here. Okay. So my dad passed in 2021. He left me a
Sorry.
small U-Haul box truck, and I met a lady and she's like, hey, you might want to keep the box truck and not sell it. I'm like, why? She like, you have a logistics background. You might want to, tap into last mile logistics. So I'm like, well, what's that? Like I worked in logistics, but for bigger trucks. Started doing my research, I realized it's basically Amazon, FedEx, the post office. I mean, those are last mile delivery to the last customer, which happens to be a consumer. Um, so that's a little bit about me. Um, any more questions?
No, it's great. So just we broke up a little bit, but I want to make sure I capture everything. So you're describing last mile logistics as the step to get directly to the consumer. So you said the post office, FedEx, I'm assuming Amazon, is that something you do as well?
Yep, Amazon. Yep,
Okay.
Amazon.
So anything that goes from all the big trucks moving along the highway, they get to a distribution center, and from that distribution center to somebody's home or place of business, they need the last mile logistics, and that's where you step in, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you made comment you're in your box truck earlier. Is that the same box truck your dad left you so many years ago?
No, my other driver is in that truck. I'm in another truck.
No, but okay, Taylor. That's great though, because you started off with just one box truck. Now you have
Yeah,
multiple box trucks and you have
right.
somebody else driving for you. So clearly the business is going well. And that's what we want to talk about, right? Is how does somebody who self self admits I had a bug to be an entrepreneur, didn't know exactly what I was going to do or how I was going to do my business, but I've always had this bug. And I took this opportunity that was granted me by my father. I'm sorry to hear he passed, but now look at you. So walk me through what is so unique about TaylorMade Trucking. What is it about you in that last mile logistics that makes you step out among the rest?
Okay, so one thing about me, when I started, I was in the furniture delivery business. So I partnered
Okay.
with a broker, a third party logistics company, and we delivered for Ashley Furniture. So we had about 15 to 20 stops a day, 6 days a week. In that situation, I was leasing a box truck through them based on a partnership. It didn't work out for me. I felt like it was more that I was searching for, and then I knew it was something else. I didn't know. It took me about 3 months. But once I tapped into researching and finding opportunities for what I already currently have, which was a 16-foot box truck, that's when everything started to click together. I was
Uh,
like, okay, I got this 16-foot box truck, and I met a guy and he was like, this is the name of the game. You maximize the truck you have, then you go out and buy more. you also build relationships. If you don't have any relationships, it's no point in purchasing multiple trucks. And so I took a step back and I was kind of offended. Like, what do you mean? Like, I did maximize the truck. I can't find work. So I actually met a broker and they had loads for me weekly with with picking up cardboard. So recycling is really lucrative and most people don't know that. So I'll say one thing about me, a lot of people might say it's not good to do multiple things, but I like to put me under the last mile logistics umbrella. We do small packaging, we do big and bulky. We also do cardboard pickup, recycling, as well as, shredded paper. We also do food distribution. We just tapped into that.
That's a new
So,
venture, huh?
yes. And, at first I wasn't thinking of expanding in food distribution, but I just got a call that a guy wants me to distribute beverages. So, that's opening up other doors that I didn't even know I was capable of doing. So,
Okay, so Taylor, let me ask you, how is it that these different doors keep getting opened for you? Right? And I'm going to go back to something you said. I want you to verify this because in my head, you said there's no reason to go about and buy a new truck unless you have the relationships. So is it safe to say that whatever you're doing to make TaylorMade this amazing company, your customer service, your ability to get people what they want, you've got relationships and those relationships keep giving you more business. Is that a fair assessment?
yes, I will say that. I'm a good worker, but I'm also determined. Although I'm doing multiple things, I'm always looking for the next thing. I never
Sure.
stop doing that. I'm always collaborating, meeting different people. Sometimes going to networking events, sometimes virtually is probably more per se my thing
Mhm.
because I'm always never home. So, um, yeah, I would say relationships is everything in this industry. I meet people just going to do my different loads or whatever. I meet people at the gas station, I'm
Sure.
branding myself. I'm wearing my shirts and stuff like that. So I would say relationships is a big piece of my success, and that's probably why I'm having doors open constantly.
I love it. I love it. The idea that the two words that really struck out is relationships, and then you made comment about collaboration. You collaborate with a lot of different people, and because they see you and your value, they want to continue working with you. One and two, I'm assuming they're more than happy to introduce you to somebody else. So with that kind of in mind, I'm going to go back. You said you're in your one box truck. You got another guy, in another box truck. How many different vehicles are on the road under the umbrella of TaylorMade Trucking?
We have three right now.
Okay, are they box trucks?
Yes, they're all box trucks. We also do collaboration with different businesses that might need us on the holidays. So I have my dedicated people, 3 to 5 cars and SUVs that can jump in and help us. So
Okay,
like
so
around Christmas, we were delivering on the strength of UPS Innovation, so which is an extension of UPS. And I had to tap into all my box trucks, also get another box truck for like a month, which brought me to four. And we were delivering to like 32 stops, but the demand was so heavy. I had to put people in position like, hey, you want to deliver to this one stop, put
yeah,
cargo, mail bags of e-commerce packages in their car.
okay. So that's like the Amazon stuff that we talked about
Yeah, it's
earlier.
basically
That's not,
Amazon, but it's in a sack, if that makes
sure.
sense.
No, I get because I've seen them come to my front door, which is an interesting admission, right? How many times does Amazon show up at your front door? But this is the what I think most people may or may not recognize is there's an Amazon delivery driver in that Amazon truck, but there's other vehicles on the road like yours that actually deliver Amazon packages to the front door. They just don't have the Amazon branded truck because they need somebody like you to kind of get that last mile logistics taken care of them. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, that's it's an interesting piece. So I want to get back to as you grow your business. How many years ago you had one truck? Now you have two, three. You have three trucks, and during the holiday, you're expanding into four because the demand's there. What is it that you think? Okay, I need one more truck. What's the threshold to say I need to grab another truck? Is it pure volume based? Is it need right
So
away? Like when do you put it this way? Um, Taylor, when do you think you're going to buy or get your fourth truck to be up and running full time all year round, not just near the holidays?
I'll say when I secure a dedicated lane, that's more than a year or two.
Okay,
Maybe a 10-year contract. I'm real big on moving. I don't believe in purchasing trucks. I believe in building relationships. So if that relationship leads to me scaling, then I'll go and purchase another truck. I really
sure.
don't believe in just because it's not about the trucks, it's really about the relationships. I'm not saying you said that, but um
I didn't say well, that's the perfect response because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm really interested in this because as a guy that's really interested in seeing how businesses start, grow, and ultimately scale, I'm curious, what are the triggers, right? How do you make that decision to go, all right, I'm going to go to the bank, I'm going to get money, I'm going to grab another truck, and hopefully it works. But your answer is straightforward. I am not going to make a decision on additional equipment until I have the relationship to support at least 1 year agreement. Okay, that's a solid foundation, Taylor. You're not going to get in a pinch because you made a wrong decision. You're being very strategic. And I think that's what I think some people may need to pay attention to when they're trying to make decisions. How do you do it? I'm not saying yours is the only way to do it because you have a different risk to reality threshold that some people do, and that's fine. But what I want people to think about is, and this is a great answer to a question, I don't want them to think so much about what is the threshold, but what is the systematic way that you come up with the threshold. And if it makes sense for you and your risk avoidance or risk acceptance, that's how you make decisions. Don't vary from whatever system you use simply because an emotion gets in the way. And that's what I think most people, when they're making business decisions, they pull away from logic and they get so emotional with it, as opposed to realizing the smartest thing for me to do is this based on my already predetermined criteria. And I appreciate you sharing that with us because that's a big step. Okay, let's go back real quick. 3 trucks, 4 trucks, doesn't matter the number of trucks. How do you hire the people that are on your team?
um basically word of mouth right now. That's been working for me. I have some family members, I have some friends, as well as like maybe one of my family members might have a friend that needs a job.
Sure. Is
So
what do you do in order to hire the right person, right? Because everybody has a family member, everybody has a friend that's looking for a job. Why is it that they are somebody you'd be willing to bring into the tailor-made world? Like, why are they there? I'm assuming you have criteria, right?
so
There's something that makes them your kind of person.
so I'm basically most importantly looking at their driving history, their driving record, because that can make or break your business with insurance and costs. How many points do they have on their license? Those type of things.
Yep. What about personality? What about attitude? What about mindset? Like, is there anybody that just doesn't ring true to what you want? I mean, I'm thinking about culturally. How does it that you establish the
So
culture of what your business is?
So culturally, food distribution is more so relationship based. So anybody that's in this truck has to be able to build up a rapport with the customers. Some customers you getting checked in, some customers you just going in saying hi. It's a relationship thing. So I probably, I most likely wouldn't put somebody in the chair that's not a people person per se. I mean,
Mhm.
it's probably three different type of people that can probably like it's a person that can actually be friendly, but they're not going to go overboard. And then it's a person that's overly friendly. And then it's a person that's just not a people person. Like if I know you're not a people person, I wouldn't put you in this chair. Cardboard recycling, we're literally just going up to the customer, picking up, saying, "Hey, we here to pick up your cardboard. This is your scheduled day." Yada yada yada. You're not really collaborating with the person. I think more hands-on, like touching the bread, stocking the shelves, is a bit different. So you have to have that relationship. But my criteria, um, for hiring slowly depends on the lane we're in.
Yeah.
I'll say that because even in medical delivery, you still building relationships, but you wouldn't put somebody that had um a bad background in that market.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
being honest because I do work with second chance people. I'm saying
Listen,
that to say, I'm saying that to say sometimes you have customers that won't approve of certain background histories.
okay.
So that all plays into how I hire and why I hire and how I
Yeah.
hire.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, and thank you for doing the second chance programs because there are tons of people that are really good at a certain job. They just need the opportunity to showcase what they're capable of, and I think that's what you're getting to. What I was trying to get you to kind of talk about, which is what you've done, and I appreciate it, is okay. You've got this business, and there's a certain environment, a certain threshold, a certain, for lack of a better word, Taylor, a vibe that you want your customers to experience when they deal with TaylorMade trucking, right? And you spelled it straight out. Some customers need a people-friendly person because a relationship is very vital. It's an important part of the mix. You've got some customers within the lane that they operate, they don't necessarily need that because there's not a whole lot of interpersonal relationship or interaction. It's simply transactional, right? You drop this stuff off, you pick it up, whatever the case may be, right? And then there's some people that just don't fit at all because they don't have the right personality for you. And I think that's perfectly fine. Because one thing that you'll recognize, and I think other people that are in business now as a small business owner, the people that you hire make it so much easier or devastatingly difficult to run a business. And when you have the right people that fit the need that you have, whether it's, like you said, food delivery, medical, or cardboard, they're three different worlds, then you hire three different people. But they all have the same philosophical approach, which is we're really good at customer service because that's what Taylor wants, right? We're really good at driving because that's what she needs, and this is how the business runs. I think it's a good way to explain. One business could have multiple personalities that they're hiring for. It doesn't have to be one type of person. However, everybody kind of needs to be on the same page with what's expected of them, right?
Right.
So when you're dealing with a cardboard delivery or pickup, you're dealing with medical or food, whatever your case may be, the customer service and the expertise does not change. It's the interaction with the customer that becomes either of higher priority or lower priority, and that's fine, right? That's how your
Yeah.
business runs because those are your customers. There's a need to always be in front of your customer, but there's not always a need to be different, or there's a need to be different with each customer because that's what they expect out of you. And it's interesting that you're a bit of a chameleon, right, in what you do. And that's what's fun about being a business owner, right? You're constantly changing who you are and what you do because your customers demand it. And
Yeah.
what I want people to recognize in the audience, it's not one size fits all. As much as you want to systemize things, and I'm a big believer in systemization. And what's interesting, you can systemize within a custom area as long as the system has steps and you follow those steps. So in other words, you've got the same number of steps in each one of your three different personalities, but the steps in each one of those lanes is different because it's demanding to be different. And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But as long as you follow that system and say, okay, this is what we always do when we're there. Okay, that's what you always do. Sometimes you're more talkative, sometimes you don't talk at all. But at least you have a system and an expectation for your team whenever they arrive that they know what they're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest lessons you've learned since being a business owner.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, let's go. I love this is the best part. So tell me what you've
Um,
learned.
Pivoting, resilience, and picking and choosing who you want to do business with.
Okay. I want to talk
And
about all of those, but you just nailed, okay, what I really want to talk about. So picking who you do business with, talk to me about that.
so I'll say when you partner with third party logistics companies, when you partner with bigger firms, you don't always know how they do business.
Yeah.
Taylor may be is an ethical company. Um,
Great
but
catch. Great catch, though. Great catch. I know
but
you
other
are.
people might not be ethical. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that to say, you have delay in payments. People are taking their money and putting it into other things instead of paying their people on time or paying their small logistics companies and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, I had a situation where um, I was working with the broker, and they lost the contract, and they didn't tell me. And good thing that I'm a talkative person. I'm always collaborating with people. When I did talk to somebody, they were like, "Hey, did you know such and such lost this customer?" I was like, "No." And as we started talking, she told me that. But one thing about me, I believe you have to have more than one source of income. My dad always taught me that, right? So I've already was doing two other things. So it really didn't sting, but I would have liked to have that rapport with that person. They
Yeah.
didn't tell me. Um, but I did win in the situation because I was able to tailor it to what I was already doing. The other situation was when my broker delayed payments because he
Mm,
claimed that the shipper wasn't paying him on time.
okay.
Yeah, it didn't make sense, but um, it
Oh,
cost me a lot of time and it cost me a lot of money. I did have a safety net, but that just taught me basically to know who you're doing business with, know when to end a relationship, and always know like you make the final say so. You don't have to keep
mhm.
showing up because you're your own business and you have employees. You can't tell your employees you don't have the money. You have to find a way. So put yourself in a position where you can find that way out of it, but also know when to end the relationship.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, and this is a very vital lesson for any business out there, is you are in control of your business. If you're not, other people will. And that's not a position anybody wants to be in. So identifying who you do business with really should be a reflection of your own set of standards, morals, and ethics when it comes to how you want to be treated and how you treat others. So engaging with people that don't fall in line with what you do is really asking for trouble. It's asking for trouble. So if you can find a way to eliminate pain and headache, you're going to be a much happier business, right?
Yeah.
The other thing you made comment to was resilience. Let's talk about that. What's the lesson learned for being resilient?
Never giving up.
Got it. Love it.
Um, I think a lot of times, even me, I get it, I get in my head sometimes and I say, "Oh, I can't do that." Or I'm looking at my current picture and saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, you can." I mean, you look at Oprah. Oprah wasn't Oprah today. Um, everybody has a story. Everybody had to start from somewhere. So if you keep showing up and you keep pushing forward, you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
So I know this sounds easy for me, but I always tapped in. I always tap into me being persistent. I'm very
And
persistent.
there's there's a lot to be said about being persistent, right? The persistent person is the one who just shows up every time, and eventually, opportunity will meet them at the door, and there you go, right? I want to see how this goes into the other word you made comment to, which was pivot. So, being resilient, and how does that work out with being somebody that pivots? What did you mean by that?
So, I have entrepreneur friends and I always tell them like, hey, you're gonna have slow seasons and big seasons. They might not never be in logistics or whatever.
Hmm.
But if you know that your industry is slow, you have to pivot. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? So that's why I tap into things that's a necessity, but I also tap into other industries. Um, and I'll say that's been a game changer for me because it's like I could do multiple things.
Yeah, that's really
You know
good.
what
You
I'm
said it
saying?
earlier, having more than one stream of income, knowing where your business is up and down. And what's fun, if you want to use the word fun, what's fun is identifying, all right, I'm slow in this part of my business during this time of the year. What is an opportunity to actually pick up what would be up during that time of the year and merge them together so all year round you have a really easy, repeatable, reliable source of business because you know the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of what's going on. It's smart. It's just being a smart business person. And I think, thinking about those three words, pivot, resilience, and well, no control, knowing who you're going to do business with. Those are really good lessons for any business owner to have, right? Because yeah, as an entrepreneur, we're constantly on our feet, on our toes, trying to figure out what's the next thing. What works for us right now, we got to grind it out, constantly grind it out, and find what's going to keep it going, and then ultimately be on the lookout for what's next. And that's what I think is one of the best, most exhilarating parts about being an entrepreneur and yourself and you're a business owner is you're always searching, seeking for the next thing, and you want to see it succeed. And whatever lessons you learn across the platforms of different businesses or whatever, you always have something new to bring to the table, right? And I'm assuming in the world of trucking, there's plenty of challenges, right? So what's like,
Yeah, and I mean, oh.
Well, I was going to say, what's the biggest challenge you have in the trucking industry? And I'm going to go away from drivers and insurance because I'm assuming that's a big part of it. What's some of the bigger challenges you have in your world?
So my last mile logistics, we're always like sometimes in a local area. I mean, you can also be in, I don't want to say boony, but the rural areas,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, I would say like mapping out routes.
Okay.
We have technology to use it, but if you have a situation where your customer wants you to do 15 stops, well, 15 stops might take you a long time. So how are you mapping it out? How are you tailoring it to your business where it works for you and you're not spending a lot of money on gas, payroll, different things like that? Could you find
Yeah.
somebody out in that area that could do the route? And you could
Okay.
just do the surrounding areas closer to you.
So do you find yourself subcontracting your routes out, or do you fill them internally?
No, I fill them internally, but I do use some subcontracting in situations. But like the ones that's like, um, how can I say it? The ones that's like a dedicated lane, no, I don't subcontract those out.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
only use my trucks because you got some of the customers that need to be listed on your insurance. So
Okay. So we're back to the insurance and driving. There's a different
yeah, I
challenges,
mean
but
it's a lot of challenges that can come into that. It's cost, it's gas, it's insurance.
yeah, that's
Um,
one thing I think people fail to recognize. The importance of routing your day based on your stops in the most economic, efficient way isn't as easy as everybody. Oh, just put it in your GPS system. It'll work, right? You got to actually
it's
plot
not
that
that
stuff out,
simple.
right? You got to plot that out, right? Because to your point, it might be the easiest, most direct route, but based on timing that somebody wants something delivered or the sensitivity of what's there, you've got to really pay attention to what's the easiest pathway. And I'm glad you bring it up because I think a lot of people are going to be, wow, I didn't realize that home delivery was that complicated. It's more complicated than people give credit to. And I think that would be something you could say about any business. Once you get in and you figure out how things are actually done, you totally appreciate the value that that service is because you're not having to do it yourself. Somebody else is, right? So if
Yeah.
I'm going to be valuing that last mile logistics, I really have to appreciate what you do to make sure that the product gets from where it was to my front door in the most efficient, cost effective way. Because if I'm waiting around, or if you're waiting around to raise expenses, it's only going to cost me more to get stuff delivered. So there's always this really symbiotic relationship where, as a consumer, I want you to be really good at what you do, right? And as a business owner, you want to be really good at what you do so you get paid. And eventually all this stuff works so everybody's happy. So I think it's really interesting for people to pay attention to the littlest of nuances that change business from one direction to another. And something as simple as, yeah, gas is expensive, but what if your entire business was determined by how much gas you use every day? Okay, now
I
it's
mean,
different.
it's situations like that. I mean, when gas go up and down, I'm more local than I'm actually on the road. But even in last mile, you got to think about it. Amazon trucks stop. Maybe it's like 10, it's 10 stops on the street. They didn't
Yeah.
stop like 5 or 10 times. Some people leave the truck running. And then, I was collaborating with a flower shop. We had to go back out. My drivers and me, we had to go back out maybe twice to deliver the same flowers.
Why? Why would you
Yes.
have to?
Because there the customer weren't it wasn't there. And you can't
Oh my
leave
God.
flowers out in the cold
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Okay, that's another part of the routing, right? That's completely different. People aren't paying
Yep.
attention to.
And there's so many routing systems out there. You got to find the perfect one that fits your business.
Wait, say that again?
I said there's so many routing systems that's out there that you have to find the one that fits your business.
Yeah, that's a good point. A
Um,
really good
yeah,
point.
because some route systems work better than others, and some take you through detours. Yeah, you still can use maps, but if you have 50 stops, you got to cut down some time. So you have to map it out where it's efficient for you, but as well as your customer, or you
Yeah.
don't want to have to circle back. So it's a redelivery, and they always say that last mile logistics is one of the most expensive parts of transportation because there's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of stop and go, a lot of
Yep.
little nuances. Okay, believe it or not, we've been talking for 30 minutes. This has been
We
great.
have?
We have. It goes by so fast.
Oh,
I've got a final question for you. We've got a couple minutes, but I got a final question. I'm going to put you in a time machine, and I'm going to set you back to find the 18-year-old Taylor. I'm going to have you sit down on a park bench next to 18-year-old Taylor. You tell me what that conversation sounds like.
the conversation would be to believe in yourself. You
Okay.
have everything you need to push forward. Um, you have everything you need. You
Okay.
don't have to go searching out outside for the outside world for you to get to where you're trying to get to.
I love it. You don't need
And get
anybody
out your
else.
head.
Get out your head. Okay, that's
Just do it.
okay. No, that's a good one. And the reason why I say it's a good one is I love this section because I always ask this question, and people inevitably, if you go back and watch some of the podcasts I've done before, they all every answer is relatively the same, worded differently, but it all pretty much comes down to just get out of your own way and stop thinking so much. Follow your heart, follow your passion. Get out your own head and realize you have the power to make the decisions you want to make to be successful. Just stop worrying so much about it and just go do it. Right now, I'm going to go all the way back to the original conversation we had, which was I don't care how you make your decisions as long as your decisions are made systemically and have a process involved and not just tied to emotion. Like you are not going to buy a new truck until it meets this threshold. Now go back and talk to your 18-year-old self. How would that work in your 18-year-old world? An 18-year-old will be like, no, what? I'm never going to make a decision like that. Now you go back and say, just follow your passion, but have a system in place. And that's what everybody talks about, right? Follow it, but make sure you don't screw yourself up by not following the system. I just love it. I think it's great. Taylor, I want to thank you for being on the program. This was a great conversation. You were fantastic. A lot of lessons learned, a really good amount of discussion and detail with respect to lessons and challenges. So I appreciate it. And I wish you all the best. I will have all the information for TaylorMade Trucking in the description down below. So if anybody needs you, they want to connect with you, they can. And I wish everybody a great day. And hopefully you'll get a chance to see a TaylorMade Trucking vehicle down the road someday soon.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye now.